Okay, I wanted to put the proposed topic for this live in the pinned comment such that people who join can see it, but I don't know if I can access the chat without any messages in it. So let's wait for people to join. I'm going to begin. So the previous stream that happened yesterday, we ended with actually performing one simple practice. And to recap the previous stream, we were working on the concept of controlled space in which we can allow ourselves uninhibited experiences. For example, if we want to retrain our brain for certain perceptions, if we want to reintroduce certain things that were taken away from us, for example, from our comfort zone as a result of previous trauma, as a result of some negative experiences, how we can introduce them into our repertoire. This is what we're working on, and we were performing the practice in which we created this controlled domain in which people, the psyche, can feel safe, and we can start introducing new experiences. Whoever is joining, please drop something in the chat for me to see that you can hear me, that our sound is working, and that you're here. And today, if anyone joins from yesterday's stream, then we're going to perform another practice that is from the subsequent steps, from 13 steps of Tantra video. From step 3. We're going to try them with our participants. If you're watching this stream and the recording, then skip ahead because I probably... Hello, whoever is joining, please check in the chat. Let me know how the sound works. The stream just began, so I'm going to start. Hello everyone who is joining, please drop something in the chat for me. The stream just began. I want to know if the sound works. For those who are joining, I'm a Tantra coach and I am giving public... Hi Ryan, thank you so much. Can you hear me? Please let me know. I'm giving public consultations. It's kind of tantric workshop from time to time. So we're usually what happens in my streams is, thank you so much. Usually what happens here is people throw their ideas, questions about relationships, about personal life, about professional life, about their self-realization, about some struggles that they're going through, and I'm giving somewhat of a public consultation here from the tantric outlook. And I'm also providing the tools that are used in Tantra, in tantric practices. So in previous stream, we actually tackled one practice, we tried it, and today I was going to perhaps proceed with another practice that connects mind and the body. How our body can store the concepts, the mental concepts that we have, how we can actually create a vessel for certain feelings and experiences inside of our body, and how we can actually switch between different states using our body, connection with our body. This is one of the skills that Tantra teaches. If you imagine, for example, a dog, very cheerful, healthy dog. Healthy dog will not hold on to something negative. Healthy dog always pursues joy. The health of a dog, the wellness, is usually translated in their behavior. They don't dwell, they don't carry negative emotions, they don't just get stuck in certain depressive states. The dog just pursues joy. And they switch momentarily. Even if they're upset, when they see an opportunity to experience joy, they go and pursue it and they experience it full-heartedly. Through this observation, we can conclude that it is probably a feature of flexible psyche that can be trained. And Tantra gives us tools to be able to pivot between different states, different emotional states, and actually regulate our mood, because sometimes we tend to hyperreact. You know how people go in the world, they sometimes, hello Kiva, hi, today we're doing new practice, thank you for joining today. And in Tantra, what was I saying? I forgot. So, what was I meant to say? Actually, didn't sleep too well last night because I couldn't find comfortable position. So, let me recollect a little bit, guys. Hello, madam. Apologies, I know I'm late. Very sorry, pardon for the interruption. It's okay. It's okay. We'll get back on track. Thank you for joining. And Tim, hello, Tim. Diversity in emojis, Tim. Let's do something. Different practices. Thank you. Different practices. Yes. Where was I going with that? I genuinely forgot. Oh my god. Where am I today? Who am I? So, yeah, in Tantra we embrace different practices that allow us to, we'll start from the beginning, that allow us to pivot between different states of mind. And now I, okay, I'm lonely, super depressed. Okay, Tim, hang on. So, we tend to overreact sometimes. And we imagine, for example, a person goes into the world, throws themselves into the world with a bunch of psychological defenses that are based on the previous traumatic experience or negative experiences in life, expectations. Person can be, in general, in the habit of propagating some negative states, because what we exercise develops, and at the same time, while we exercise one thing, we usually don't exercise something else, so we predominantly exercise one manner of behavior. So people go into the world with all of this baggage, with all of this background, and they face a lot of the reactions, a lot of the stimuli in this world. And what happens is they start hyperreacting. Sometimes agitated psyche starts producing these electrical signals, all of those responses that people actually in the civilized world cannot even exercise properly. And even in not so civilized world where community begins feeling aggression, feeling those unregulated emotions, oftentimes is also not practical. So what to do with all that stuff? When we do not have a skill of emotional management, when we do not have a skill of regulating our emotions, deflecting them, dissipating them, redirecting them, we are going to absorb all of this energy. Is in the form of stress. It will be buried in our body, causing all sorts of ailments, tension, spasmed muscles, and all of that. So it is a very important skill to be able to grow an observer, to understand what is happening in your psyche, why you're reacting in certain ways. And then it is also important to learn the skill of switching gears, because electrical signal is neutral that we're producing. The energy, intellectual energy, mental energy that we're producing is neutral. But the way we use it, the way we react to it, is not neutral. And it can be destructive or it can be productive. So in Tantra, we use those methods, practices, physical practices, mental practices, to teach ourselves to recognize that we're capable of experiencing the whole spectrum here and now. As I like to give this analogy, you can enter the door to the Garden of Eden right now. You can enter the door to misery, to the misery park. Let's call it misery park. You can go to the Garden of Eden, you can go to the misery park right now, given that you have a skill and given that you're more or less healthy, adequate, physically healthy. So this is what we are doing, and this is the practice that I would like to show you. But also today I want you to propose different topics that you think, maybe in your opinion, in your imagination, could be relevant to discuss with a tantric coach. So let me check the chat. Woo! Baddie alert! You're pretty. Thank you, Jason. Nice to see Tim is here. Yes, I was also happy. Being negative helps me fall asleep, John. Whatever works. You know, I don't know. It's such a crazy thing for me because I stayed in Hilton Hotel multiple times, and Hilton has the best mattresses on the planet. And those mattresses are just so supreme. I always miss them. I really want to get one somehow. So on any other mattress and any other form of arrangement, it's always hit or miss whether I can sleep or not, because it's like you find for one night, you find the perfect pillow arrangement, perfect everything, perfect temperature, and it just works. But then sometimes, oh, it just becomes a task. And mental practices don't work just because you physically can't find that pose to strike it. So, hello sister, I hope you're having a good Friday. Yes, sure can. Thank you. I hope you too. Yes, Kiva, I'm here and depressed. Tim, I suggest that we start developing different domain for you, okay? Whenever you claim something, treat it as a spell. If you have some idea in mind how you would want to feel, at least a glimpse. Let's try speaking that into yourself. Start speaking that into yourself. Try it once. Like, try finding this new identity associated with different mental state. Let's begin that work. Is she a flight stewardess? Yes. Buckle up. Glenn, did you study in Red Room? No. Thank you so much for your contribution. ZCORP Alpha. Woo! Thank you. Oh, hell yeah, she's a hottie for sure. Thank you, guys. You're really pretty, Perry. Thank you. You remind me of certain Black Widow. Whoa, I don't know. Fire. Fuego, yeah. Tim, hang in there, buddy. Things will get better. I'll chat it. Hi. Hi. Very sorry, Tim. Know that you're strong, Tim. Hello there. Hi, Mr. Mike C. Nice. Then we have some people quoting literature. Then, by the way, my stance, we're not quoting literature here unless it is reasonable. We are using our own thoughts and formulating our thoughts directly, guys. My memory foam sags in the middle, so all it remembers is that I'm fat, Delco. Hi from Japan, Ghostly TSCTICS. Hi from New York. Thank you for joining. Hi, watching from Saudi Arabia. Whoa, we have quite geography going on. Thank you guys for joining. Hello, Shuriken. Wish you nothing but happiness. God bless you. Thank you so much, Dragon Dis, I guess. That's how you read it. Conrad Hilton had a bad back. To this day, Hilton hotels honor his bad back with premium support mattresses. I can see that. What is Red Room? Yeah, please let us know. Madam, I tried the 2 minutes method we did last stream. It worked well after changing environment. Awesome. So today's practice, we'll warm up a little bit. Again, I'm calling for your topics, whatever questions you have right now, whatever you think would be cool to discuss with a tantric coach in your opinion. You look like Le Merriweather of Barnaby Jones. What time do you clock in at Walmart? What? I believe all emotions are part of our life. Happiness is not a goal, but a state of mind which is achieved by being satisfied of who you are. May the peace and guidance be upon you, Ryan said. Yes, I agree with that. It's actually very aware of you. There is a thing I remember, it's called phenomenon toxic positivity, which I feel very ambivalent about. Because indeed, people who experience some negative emotions, sometimes when they realize that something is off and they feel like they're producing a lot of negativity, they're holding on to negativity, they start adding to that negativity, they start adding guilt to that negativity, further propagating it with the energy of failure, further propagating it with the energy of this shame that I cannot maintain good emotional background for myself. So people who are going through some struggle, I think they need to embrace the neutrality, as you're saying, acknowledging that all emotions are part of our spectrum, and it's totally fine to experience them. But then for people who, for example, tend to get stuck in negativity, it might be a useful lesson to broaden their spectrum. We're not prohibiting ourselves like, you bad person, like you are anxious, you are so weak, you are so negative, beating ourselves up. We're not doing that. we're just showing that other spectrum, and we learn to embrace that other side of the spectrum. This is how we work in Tantra. So what you just said is a very beautiful and good reminder for everyone who is going through some perhaps process of bettering themselves, changing their life. For example, you are approaching or want to go on the next level in your life that requires you to take more responsibility, change your outlook in life, then become more free, become more embodied. Basically, there are a lot of challenges that we can face that will demand us to do this self-bettering work. And yes, it can become a damaging thing when we start feeling ashamed of negative emotions. Instead of broadening the spectrum of what emotions we're capable of. Topic title today is free. I want to show you the practice probably towards the end. And I didn't prepare any concrete topic today. I'm freestyling, continuing our previous stream basically, because I want to show you that practice with how we can use our body to create those polar states, how we can tap into them, how we can use this switch. So that's something I'll be showing after I give the what's it called? The introduction, the basis for that. Dylan Gaunt said hi. Hi from Tampa Bay, Florida. Oh, actually was, I lived just south of Tampa. It was very beautiful. Hi, beautiful. Hi. What time do you clock in at Walmart? What do you want from me? Mass surveillance. I visualized breathing in a negative comment. That twice actually, since last night. It worked almost unbelievably well. Many thanks for that technique, sister. Yeah, yesterday we also covered this beautiful technique of inhaling the experiences, inhaling negative thoughts, inhaling anything that you don't want stuck in your body. What happens, for example, somebody starts saying something bad for everyone who joined today. I want to give you I want you to benefit from this technique as well. For example, something says something, you read something negative, some news that bug you, Sometimes you didn't even care to learn about some things, but you see something like upsetting is happening around you. What happens? Your stress response starts coming up. You push your belly in. You flex your diaphragm. You create this nodule here. You cannot breathe it. It kind of gets stuck because you created this somatic response to this idea, to this thought. The technique is to counter that. When you hear something negative, something that you don't care to become a part of your life, become part of your consciousness, become something that becomes your mental chewing gum, something that causes you to have prolonged anxiety. When we listen to this thought, when we listen to this information, when we receive some information, we just inhale, we focus on inhaling all the way through our body, into the pelvic floor, through the entire belly, and this thought, we observe how it just like goes, bloom, gone. So this is the technique, as opposed to the alternative would be swallowing the thought, swallowing the experience that we don't want. And then that sits on our shoulders, in our belly, and we feel this heaviness. So this is what Shriken was mentioning about visualizing breathing in negative comment. Breathing in a negative comment. Charles Soldier. Kiva, interesting. There's only 15 people in here. Ask the question. What time do you clock in at Walmart? Answer the question. I don't understand what you mean. I apologize. How do you know your best friend is gay? Well, okay. Don't answer. White girl magic. But the Tantra talking about, as far as I know, it's derived from Hinduism that practices worship of demons. What are demons? I don't understand. I don't understand that. There's no worship in Tantra. Wayne, hi. Preface. Thank you. Yeah, I was looking for that word. What time do you clock in at Walmart? Thank you for dropping your comments. It's amazing. Thank you for support. Thank you for keeping this chat going. Chen. Steve Urkel. Hello. Hi. Okay, thank you, madam. So this is like part 2, continuation from last stream. Got it. We'll title in that. Yes. Hello, how are you, new KJV? I'm well, thank you. How are you? Martinez, hi. Tony, just subscribed to you. Steve, I like your scarf. Thank you so much, Steve. It's handmade from leftover fabric. This dress is handmade. Everything I wear is handmade. Kila, question, yes. Diaphragm. Tits! So it's better to let go of the negative, not keep it. Depends. If you can do something with that negative, like, can you do something with, like, you watch something on the world news, for example, good example, right? A lot of people stumble upon that. Can you do something with that information? Is this information in any way productive for you to spark any fight or flight response? Are you going to gain anything? Is it going to spark any activity in you? Is it a useful information when you catch it, like you're catching it in the moment? You have a choice, as if you caught it before it already like sunk in and you, before you swallowed that information. You can make a choice. Do you need it or not? It's not practical in most cases. So if it's not practical, then why do we need it in our system? And we can do several things. As Shurkin gave the information about that practice of inhalation, just let it go. Let this information just pass right through you, without getting stuck in you, without giving that stress response. Alternatively, if it already triggered response in you, fight or flight response, then we can deflect it. Or we can channel it into physical action. For example, we can channel it, we can deflect it into positive thought, some productive thought. Let's not do positive, let's do productive. Because I like to categorize things in terms of good and bad as useful and not useful. This is the simplest way for me to assign what is good and what's bad. So useful and not useful. So we deflect our thought towards something useful. Or if I already in fight or flight, I'm a very excitable person, what do? I don't know, I go clean my room. Something as simple as that. Some action that for example associated with movement, with some physical energy needing to be expanded. I'm just going and accomplishing that action and getting that gratification, tricking my brain to think that this was what was it all about. Okay, so you streamline of consciousnesses of divine spirit. Thank you so much. Then we have some obscene comments from the FJAM 1990. Okay, got it. Thank you, Madam, for answer. You're welcome. Hello from Ireland, Anthony. Be like water is best example. Even like air. If someone is negative to me, I seek vengeance and it works for me. Good. Use a lot big words. I don't know what you mean by that. Deflect into positive and useful. Never thought of it that way. Well, I understand what you're saying, but sometimes it's still not easy to do it. Let the energy flow. If there is a rock in your path, go around. Nice to meet you, James. Hi. You're welcome, beautiful soul. Thank you. Madam is a genius. Geniuses use big words. Thank you. Hello, Dilbert. So yeah, we have different paths depending on how we already responded to what happened, to the information that we encountered. Shuriken, I need to go for a bit, but I'll be back. Sure. I'll be here for probably 3 hours as usual. Please have a good stream in the meanwhile. Thank you. Have a nice time. I think I will. Are you AI? Yes. Am I AI? I'm that AI with the microphone. Yeah. Pretty natural. Hey, I'm not negative. I'm just saying sometimes it's not easy to let go, which I know is because of feelings and pride. Yes, it is. Would be nice if you gave some examples to what you mean, to the situations that you encounter. I understand that you're not negative. It's very good that you're questioning those things. It's very good that you're challenging my proposals, because this is how we get ourselves to think better and deeply. So you can write some example, perhaps something of use for you specifically, and I will address your concerns in more detail. Very convincing AI then. Damn, girl. Oh, slay. Yeah. So here we are. So we begin with our method of pivoting between different states. People think that if they are experiencing something in life, then there's no way out. Because oftentimes stress, anxiety, they become overwhelming. They start kind of feeling like a big, enormous cloud that's bigger than ourselves. That gives us weight that's very hard to manage. And yesterday we did this practice when we started creating this seed of a domain of joy. Basically controlled environment. And controlled environment in which we create a safe space, safe domain, using a timer, using a dedicated space, using just like some verbal formulation that I am entering a practice. And in this controlled space, we performed full focus on the emotion of joy, on the state of joy. We can do it on the state of pleasure, state of love. 1 minute, 2 minutes, little domain where we just get introduced to this emotion in a controllable environment. Today, I want to invite you to explore how it can be done using our body. Because one of the things that people experience when they are in perpetual anxiety, hi Carby, when we live in perpetual anxiety, depression, is that there is disconnect with the body. The body cannot keep up with this emotional load. When we're in anxiety, we're there and then. Our body exists here and now. I have my stick for illustrations. Our body is here and now. Our thought is there, anywhere, but not here. So we experience this split between what we feel and what we think, what we actually experience. We live in some effectively delirium, not here and now. We don't experience here and now. We don't hear the signals of the body until they become strong enough. In here and now, we're totally separated. Our analytical part is not working in conjunction with our body. We're there and then, and gradually, again, is what we exercise develops. We develop misunderstanding with our body. Then we expect it to perform, we expect it to do good, we expect good intimacy, we expect very good responses, we expect enjoyment just happening like this. But they won't be happening because we lost connection somewhere. So the practice that I want to propose to you is how to put your feelings into your body. So let me see the chat, and then I will tell you how to perform the practice. In life, everyone is dealt with different doors or of decisions we walk through. Some doors are locked, some doors are open, others we leave open for people to follow, others close and lock door behind. Choice. Loving spirit. Thank you for this note. Ricky, okay, if someone comes around the farm and say that would do something different on how I raise animals. Now I understand things could be different, but you gotta open-minded in different ways. Thoughts on the bicameral mind. I'll need to read about it. Emotions can be a toll on us mentally. It messes with our thinking state. Yeah, put feelings into the body. At the same time, you got to believe in your business plan. Otherwise, you will be switching things all the time. Well, what's the conflict then? You are pretty aware of the existing issue. What do you think, where is your personal struggle lies in this seeming dichotomy, that there is some external opinion and there is something that is your business plan? Where is this dichotomy? Where is the problem? And what trouble are you facing right now? The more you focus outwards, the less you see within. The more you focus within, you will sight outwards. Balance and harmony, exactly. And being able to switch. Because if you cannot switch, then you lose this versatility. You think that life happens to you. But you live life. Oftentimes, yes, we need to give in to experiences that happen to us, we just experience them. But when it all becomes this uncontrollable, seemingly uncontrollable, chaotic whirlpool, then that's a playground for anxiety. Interesting arguments. This is great. I'm just here. Lovely people. Continue. Is it bad for an adult to pee in the bed all night? Asking for a friend. It is probably a sign that you have some very strong background thing going on, some sort of neurosis that that is definitely worth looking into, where it's coming from, because there might be some expelled emotions, there can be some expelled trauma that sits somewhere so deep that you're not aware of that, and that manifests when you drop controls. Just like people can have certain bodily reactions in the sleep, in the dreams, when they're not actively controlling themselves, when they don't have this rationalization shield, they experience all of those bodily reactions because some parts of the psyche are active. Yeah, I've looked into therapy. My friend looked into therapy. It doesn't matter. I mean, no judgment. I mean, it's if it's happening to you, it's okay. Accepting that is the first step to healing, actually. Is this gesture from Mighty Nine low? Or nutritional issue? Is it a vice grip? Привет, Monestang. You're absolutely gorgeous. Thank you so much for your kind words. So therapy would be a nice thing, and moreover, you can yourself. You can meditate on this issue, because in the meditation you can kind of walk around. I perform this thing. It's not an advertisement. It's a proposal for you for a technique that you can do on your own. But I perform this with the clients. It's called Walk Through the Psyche. Walk Through the Psyche is when you're meditating with the guide with feedback. So it's a dialogue, and when the mutual journeying through the landscape of your psyche, in which you receive questions, you receive suggestions for how you can interact with the world that your psyche has built. And there you can actually walk around and see the problems without any rationalizations, without psychological defenses oftentimes. Because you start dealing with them not in the judgmental way, but in the world of images, in the world of just some cartoon. It becomes a cartoon that you're walking through. Trump. Yes, we can be warned about fire being hot, but how do we know unless we get close to feel the heat and heal from the burns? I like your style. Thank you so much. I make my own clothes, so it's purely from my heart. I'm always learning something new. Where are you from? I am from, currently or ethnically. So I'm guessing common sense takes place in all of this. Yes. You look like my ex, childish Gambiner. You're welcome. The question is whether you see your ex, whether you want to see your ex in your surroundings subliminally, and that's how you attracted this to happen. Think about it. So, we are about to approach a practice. I will tell you the concept of the practice, how it's performed. The concept of to marry your feelings and your body, connect your mental experiences, and connect your physical responses and experiences, and to become aware of how your body actually lives through your emotions, lives through your impressions. The practice can be performed. It's a hardcore level is to perform this practice with whole halves of the body, front and back, top and legs. Or it can be performed or right side and left side. This practice can be performed also, for example, with the belly, a little bit smaller scale. So I want you to think about it. First of all, whoever is ready to perform the practice right now, drop something in the chat, ready, or some emoji. Because I want to know how many people are following right now and whether we can begin. All you need is a belly for this practice. Okay, I got 2 ready. Any more? Waiting for 10 more seconds and beginning the guide, the walkthrough. Nobody else is ready. Nobody wants to perform the practice. Anybody? Let's do a third person. Who wants to perform the practice? Three, two, one, go. So, we got 2 people performing the practice. I want you right now to focus on your belly. Just be aware of your belly. No hands, hands on the table. We're not touching anything. It's only our belly. Hello, Jason. It's only in our mind and our belly. Connect the two. You can close your eyes for better focus. You want to connect with your belly. Now, I want you to focus on the right side of the belly. Locate right side of the belly. Now locate the left side of the belly. Now back to the right side of the belly. Back to the left side of the belly. I want your feedback. Were you able to feel and focus on halves of your belly, and were you able to switch between the two? Whoever is performing the practice. Yes, we got one yes. Kiva. Focus yes, switching kind of. Okay. Let's now go back to our belly. Focus again. Locate your right half of the belly. And let's experience joy with the right half of our belly. Joy, pleasure, just cool emotions. Invigorate that right half of the belly with those emotions. Now, when you located joy, when you experience joy with the right side of the belly, let's locate melancholic emotion, some sadness, into the left side of the belly. And let's experience some more like some nocturnal, more like blues with the left side of the belly. Now let's go back to the right side of the belly, in which we homed joy there. Let's go to the right side of the belly and feel joy there again. Now let's go back to the left side and feel some sort of blues or some melancholic feelings there. Imagine like walking through in twilight through the city alone, like in the fall, such like romantic, a little bit sentimental mood perhaps. Is it working for you guys? Yes. Kiva? The second time I was able to focus more and switching was easier. Cool. So building neuron connections. Okay. It worked. Nice. Now, let's swap them. Now, let's go to the left side and put joy there. It might take a little bit of time because now we have stereotype of perception that left side is certain thing. So now we need to work against the stereotype and we need to perhaps work a little bit more to locate it there. Now let's feel joy in the whole belly. Whole belly is entirely. Joy, pleasure, peace, radiance, happiness, anything you want. However you feel it. Did it work? Are you trans? No, I'm not trans. Why are you asking? Do you have fetish? That experience was very cool and it worked. Nice. Nature's alphabet. Yes, it took a long time to change left side to positive. Cool. What we can do with that? Now, the creative thing that we can do, we can actually spread this experience of joy upwards and downwards. We can start spreading this feeling everywhere we want. So this is something that we can do with this newly acquired skill. So in here and now, what we've accomplished. In here and now, we were able to create a home in our body and put an emotion in it. So this is the observation that we should make. And then we already put it in the belly, something that's in front of us, something that's easy to connect with, belly in general. Belly we connect with through breathing, we can see it, we can touch it technically. And now we can spread it upwards, we can spread it to the back, we can play with this feeling, we can let it go and spread into different body parts. And when we do this, eventually, when it fills our entire body, this is full-bodied experience of joy, here and now. Thus, when we learn this skill, our brain will know that the body can be the home for joy. And if I want to, for example, there is some experience in life, people don't realize oftentimes that they're always presented a choice, how to respond to it. It's very rare in life when we actually need to be in fight or flight mode. So we oftentimes, most of the cases, we have a choice in which state we want to be. Now that we familiarized ourselves with how to create a home for certain desirable emotion and state, we now can use it and in our daily life. We can remember that I know how to easily put joy at least in the half of my belly. I know how to put joy in my entire belly. Then I know how to put it upwards, how to spread it downwards. And we can charge with that emotion. We can charge any experience. There are some meditations that are for sexual wellness, for example, where you can heal your sexuality by connecting with your organs inside through visualization and through charging them with this energy, with giving them love, with giving them this outlook, introducing them to joy, making them seen, making them taken care of. So, this practice can be propagated further into whatever part of yours you feel needs love, whatever part of yours needs to be nurtured with love and joy and pleasant emotions. Our fate is sealed. Sure. I also tend to believe sometimes in genetic fatalism. The fact that you are receiving what I'm talking about right now is genetically predetermined, largely genetically predetermined, I think. What do you eat? Today I ate grilled octopus, by the way. I grilled an octopus and ate it with lemon and salad. M. Gamble, are you a bot? On my channel, we use our own thoughts. We don't use quotes from the books unless it's absolutely necessary. We're not hiding behind the authority. We learn to express our thoughts. So, boom. Nature's alphabet. Drop me your impressions of the practice. How did it feel? If you feel anything. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty, which was and is to come. It's some like interesting expectation that Daddy will come and save you. Are you tired? I enjoyed it. We'll have to work with it more. Nice, thank you. I think the technique of propagating it, just again for several seconds, we're not dragging these practices unless we feel like it. Because every practice, again, we spend some resources to perform certain actions, to focus on something. So we're not dragging these practices. To train them, I would recommend that we're not spending 2 hours trying to dial them in unless you're fully enjoying it, unless you're fully comfortable performing it. So I would suggest also, like with yesterday's practice of just focusing in abstract fashion, focusing on joy, pleasure, do it for a short amount of time. I wish more people participate. It was interesting practice. Thank you, Kiva. Yeah, I agree with that. More people were interested that whether I'm trans or not, I guess. Damn, you're pretty. Thank you. I have faith in Christ as well. I feel you're worried about meditation and prayer. Race IQ question. Which race usually score? Oh my god. You can probably read some stats online. God loves you so much that he created a place called hell just in case you stop loving. There are many things, yeah, to mention about all of these dynamics. I feel like it's people who, people build this functional system of relationships, transactional relationships, and then they created religions that also exercise those transactional relationships and call it standard of love. It's very strange to me. So now we have some genetic conversation. Tite, what exactly bothers you? If we were to dig into the reason why you're interested in these questions, how does this question relate to you personally? Do you have some insecurities related to origins or what? Like what's going on here? Yes, more people was interested whether you were trans. AI or flight attendant, but topic conversation is more important. I'm very happy, Kiva, that you exist, and I actually was thinking that yesterday we had a really cool, effectively workshop for really dedicated people who receive this with so much benefit, with so much, how to say it, so much enjoyment. I was really grateful, but nevertheless, it's also fun when there are different people. But yeah, it would be cool if people participate and practiced. What did your men get you for V-Day, Vagina Day? What are, what are we talking about? What is V-Day? Jewelry? Uh, then we have another quote from a book. Scientific questions, just curious. My scientific background is physics, semiconductor physics. I left academia more than 5 years ago, probably. I'm not really a specialist in anthropology, if you're wondering. Hello from South Africa, Matthew. Hi. You're my favorite girl. Thank you, Nicholas. I love Vagina Day. Yay! Jack Nitrobird. Fun fact, the word fridge has a D in it, but refrigerator doesn't. Thank you for sharing fun facts. You're welcome, Adam. Much appreciate your insights. Then somebody's hungry. I'm not sure that V-Day exists in V-Day. I understand it's probably Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day exists in Russia. And we usually, in school, we celebrated it, and we gave those little cards, heart-shaped cards, in anonymous fashion, and everybody was trying to guess who they got it from. Are you Russian? Yeah. Hey, baby. Oh, боже мой, these comments is something else. Kivan. Oh, боже мой. There was a very funny guy. I watched one somewhere, I don't remember, it was some stream or whatever. He was learning Russian. He learned this боже мой thing, and he was боже мой before every sentence. It was very cute. There's nothing wrong for Christians to meditate with their spirits, and people share love in all types of ways. It's a blessing, nevertheless, for people to come together to spread love and comfort. Yeah, I mean, it's when something sits in the way of your curiosity, it's unnatural, I think. The brain's main property is curiosity and creativity. So those things must be embraced because it's natural law. Any dogma that tries to suppress them is effectively conversion into slavery. And since it's a man-made dogma, then it's also something that's created to control humans, and that also comes from some perhaps likely tainted human mind that was in pursuit of hegemony, power, and other things. So this is why it's very strange to dictate yourself some suppressive rules because some men 2000 years wrote it so, and some people interpreted that over the course of 2000 years in the interests of the ruling entities. So it's very your brain is God given, your brain is nature created, as I prefer to put it, and its properties, main properties, are creativity and curiosity, through which we actually comprehend the creation, or can come closer to comprehending creation. That's my spiritual thing. Then we have another contribution in the topic of races. What about races bothers you, Tite? It's not just, I mean, you have clear fixation on the subject of race and culture. Please write down why, what brought you, what personal thing brought you to be hyper interested in these topics. Haha! You are so cute, honey. Thank you. Are you Russian? Yes, I'm Russian. No, I mean Russian in general sense. I was born there. I like your eyes. Thank you. Amilcar, sorry. My sweetheart, forever love you. Good answer. Thank you. What do you think about robots gestating babies? Artificial wombs. I don't think about it because it doesn't concern me. And whatever people do a lot of things. And again, if it's a natural progression of humankind, that it is what it is. If it leads to degeneration, let it be. And I don't want to demonize that. I think that every technology that comes to fruition, it only increases the split between people who actually use their brain, and people who life happens to. So it's all of the technology is the call to embrace your leadership and start making your own decisions. Because what I don't like in the media is that, some news come like, oh my god, there's this horrible thing, this scary thing happened, and everybody's like, they don't want you to know, they want you to do this. And people go into these beehives. They're like buzzing, doing nothing, in total mental paralysis. They just go in this, they don't want me, they don't. You live your life, buddy. Wake up for once. Who they? Attraction of people to electing authority is very fascinating to me. And that's perhaps not people who will be particularly drawn to my philosophy. But I observed it so much in my life. And that self-chosen slavery that people give to themselves by electing authority that regulates their mental institutions, their mental process, their emotions, their body, is just fascinating to me. No one, not a single soul who is sitting and whining online, got up and created something, called people, organized people. No, whining is much more interesting for most people. So I've been there so much. I was fleeting those groups of people regularly, because I was that person who was trying to get people when it was possible to make certain productive change. I was trying to organize them. I was trying to call them to be the movers towards some productive change, but usually they were not interested. So that's why I decided to start my own thing and expand my area of exposure to humans, such that I can find people naturally that would be in line with this thing. When we do not elect and don't surrender, fall before the shot. Most people fall before the shot because they heard something, and they suddenly feel completely incapacitated to do anything about their life, to make any decisions. It's just fascinating, and I'm totally not interested. So they do all of those topics about artificial wombs, experiments, and all of that. As an engineer, I'm interested in learning how it's done. As from my own intuition from within, I cannot relate to that. From my own body confidence, I cannot relate to that. But thinking about it as oh my god, in the future there will be. The worth of a human in general is decreasing for economy, because people are driven by the economy. So most social events are driven by the economy, economical changes. And because people systemically surrender, they have an illusion that their voices on social media, all of that. Sometimes in the live chat, I see this: free this country, free that country. What do you do with why, how? The fact that you voice it on social media does nothing. Does nothing. It's just your vent, valve, to off gas a little bit, to not explode, and whatever. Your frustration. All of that stuff is pointless. Are you a counselor? I am a Tantra therapist. You're very articulate. Thank you, Web Matrix. In the US, we appear to have economic inequalities and associate with ethnicity. Race and IQ, William Defoe's daughter. I like him. I have feeling in love with you. Thank you, Nicholas. Congratulations on that. It's a good choice. That's actually a pretty thoughtful answer. Good quote. I disagree with you, but I appreciate you tackling the question. Thank you. Airline steward. How's, but funny thing, it's such a stereotype of perception. You see a scarf and you're like, oh, this is a costume of a stewardess. That's fascinating as well. Maybe I sell ice cream. It's a spiritual battle. We shouldn't be worried about tomorrow's problems and let tomorrow worry about itself. And learn from yesterday to do what's necessary today. CRISPR plus artificial womb super babies. And what? What is super about them? It's expensive to feed a human. If super babies had advantage over supercomputers and AI, for example, then they basically must be cheaper to produce and maintain than electricity that's needed for computational systems for propulsion of economy. Again, human worth, if you appreciate human worth from the outside, it will be calculated from the standpoint of economical reasonability, in which case it will be basically the profitability of this project over other alternative technology. The taxpayer, if we think about the worth of a human as a taxpayer, the taxpayer must be rather not so intelligent and believe that they need to be contributing to the society beyond measure. They need to be addicted to validation. This is the ideal taxpayer. Good consumer taxpayer. They need to seek validation, have anxiety, and be somewhat capable until their retirement age. Do we need super babies for that? No. If it's rather would be useful to address certain health concerns, perhaps, for the elites. But then intelligence is not needed there as much. Because the elites also, for the elites, the intelligence must be also suppressed. So if you have superhuman that is capable of thinking beyond the constraints of their eliteness, because eliteness comes with a lot of restrictions, with a lot of boundaries, with a lot of push to keep the system going. The individual worth there is also low. It degenerates there. If you live in the hierarchy of the system, then the worth of your individual intellect is not a linear function. You need to know how to operate in the system, pretty much, and how to operate above the system when you're part of the elite. But super babies, I don't think that they are of any interest if we're talking about intellect of them. These topics are switching left and right, just like the performance practice we did. Yes, exactly. Your advice will help me. James, if you have any issue that you would like to discuss, I'm open to hearing that and addressing that. I usually conduct those public sessions. If you have something already on somewhere on top of your mind that you can share in a concise form, we can start working on that for sure. Whining is the first step of a solution. Actually, I would agree with you. It's not whining. I noticed that sometimes when something bothered me, I would let it go, brew like to the point where it's at boiling point, and then sometimes having a good explosion about it. Like, I cannot solve this problem. I cannot do this anymore. That releases all the tension in a very rapid way, and suddenly the solution is found. So it's that healing tantrum, I call it. Congratulations, John. Thank you. You see a lot of boo in Trump, don't you? You're talking about mostly fictional characters. It's like, do you see a lot of Beyonce in Taylor Swift? I've never met those people in person, and it's celebrity figures. May the divine of the creation of the universe give us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Thank you, loving spirit. Artificial wombs over American women. I wouldn't generalize. There are fascinating American women, very interesting, intelligent, very, I don't know, with fascinating minds. I was very happy to meet them. So you're probably attracting the wrong demographics. Paramore. Hello, my love. Hello. You could take robots that can birth life from frozen DNA. You could shoot ARCS into space hundreds of years away and seed life on other planets, recreating the Bible. Okay, but I mean, it's an interesting sci-fi experience. You can actually write into a book. Why not? You're right. I was so kind through years growing up as my childhood. Then I got older. Humans did same thing too. Then I lost it. Perhaps I feel like I've missed a ton. No, we're only begin. We're only in the beginning, Shuriken. We did one practice though. If you want to send me an email, I'll write you the practice that we did. Bill Juice, hi. Good evening. How long have you been in the United States? It will be 10 years in summer. Will you be my wife? No, I won't be. Sorry. I'm learning right now how to get back now. Used to be nice inside. What do you mean nice inside? Nice inside the way you felt or the way you behaved? Like, and what changed? Let's figure the terms first. You look like a trans woman. Is that true? Are we are we down for a dick waving contest here, Linda? I'm very fascinated with the with such an interest in gender issues in some people. What's up with that? Are you restricting your pursuits in some perhaps more androgynous plane? Or maybe you would want to do some gender swap experiments? What's up with that? Why such a fixation on that? Or maybe you want camaraderie in me and you maybe are a fellow trans woman and you want to see if I represent your group? Let me know, Linda. Hello? Hi, Echo. How much money to submit marriage proposal? I have no idea. Passing through, curious accent, thank you. Pipulai, curious name. I have fun pronouncing it. Waving hair with brilliant face, every single part of you can triple my heart. Ahmed. Thank you, Ahmed. Nice to see everyone is falling in love with Madam. Will you call me my husband? No. Then shut up! I'm talking to the most beautiful girl in the world. Beware, I might be a trans. So, are you more of a philosopher, an activist, or scientist, or all of the above? I am a philosopher. I'm a Tantra coach, Tantra therapist, and I'm also a physicist and an engineer and an artist. So I'm many things. That's why I created the program Human Renaissance, and that's probably the best. That represents my values and my skills the most. The harmony between different components of a human. Plus, also, I'm very passionate about being in nature. I'm very passionate about connection with the body. That's why Tantra drew my attention so much, and that's why I loved it so much. Because I am pro-unity of human, unity of all the roles that human can play, outside of social norm, outside of some social idea about how things should be. Because my life has always been like kind of pushing those things to the side in pursuit of my goals. So that's my value system, and that's what characterizes me in what I do. I'm not falling in love with this lady, man. You're wrong. I like single life better. James, I respect that. Let's like it. How can I fall in love with her? I don't know her. James, you're a very weird person. Because I'm always like amused. Recently, I had a guy who loved me so much during the stream. So much. So much. It was insane. It was an insane amount of love. And he just saw me for the first time in the stream. I don't know how people do that. Love from the first glance. For such an intensity. It's crazy. Ask the people who are that question. Hi Rex. Parasocial is very common. Yeah, that's like, Yeah, I guess I understand that I have a friend who was really engaging in fandom so much. Every new cute actor would be the favorite. It was very cute. Exactly. These men are crazy, impulsive. I guess. I love you. Agreed, James. Ta-da-da. You should write a book. I will eventually. I'm not too. It's hard for me to sit and write. That's why I do live streams, because I feel lazy to write. I left a lot of the things that I was doing because I felt a lot of energy. I need to expend my energy much more than, for example, some desk work allows. That's why I love to do something like manually. I like to do some crafts. I like to do live streams because it's a lot of energy. That's my voice working through my entire body, like energy pushing, 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 shining, shining, shining. That's something that's so super essential for me. So writing a book for me, I don't know how to schedule that. I struggle to write a blog. I started Substack and I wanted to write blogs there. But then my thoughts, my nature of thinking, my thoughts come very quickly, and writing them is like adding a pause. Sometimes it's a necessary pause to rationalize things, to reformulate them better, but then I forget what I was thinking. My thoughts go like too fast. That's why I prefer to just record voice notes and use those voice notes and then make videos. That's the thing that's on the way to writing a book, because I think I have very cool experiences. I actually had immigration experience, different like educational experience that I could write about, because I approached immigration in a way that I wanted to throw myself in a new environment. I didn't like associate with fellow Russians. I could not do that. I didn't want to do this. I could not do this. I could not force myself to bunch up with someone just on the basis that we're from the same country. So I wanted to actually build a new persona. I wanted to create a new thing of mine, some add-on. And that was my goal. So I approached immigration through this point. And I went through so many experiences and growing up as well, that but at the same time, despite all of those things, I feel such a wholeness and such reasonability and like very wholesome outlook of my life, that it's, yeah, I think book would be a reasonable thing. But I don't know. They don't see they're acting like stalker. Okay, thank you, man. Keep, indeed, very odd things take place on the internet, it seems. Hey. We're actually listening to the topics. Shuriken, well said. I'm sitting here listening to you also, ma'am. I'm taking your advice. I wanted, James, you to elaborate on that, because you said that you lost some nice factor about you. What was it? How would you describe it? At least I can count on James the Shuriken, thank goodness I'm not alone here with craziness. The way I lost my patience with others who were doing stuff is all our lives. So you lost your patience. In what situations does it manifest? You lost your patience with others. Are you hot-tempered? Are you losing your patience with people you're coexisting right now? For example, you have a girlfriend, boyfriend, or some relatives that you coexist, that you share space, you co-living with, and you burst at them. What's that? What are the typical experiences? What are the relationships? What are the systems in which you are losing your patience? Or if you're not actually exploding in your emotions, do you feel that impatience and it bothers you inside, sitting inside of you? Elaborate on that. Hugs, my friends. Is your eyes AI? My eyebrows are AI. I have to go. It was pleasant to meet you, Belle. Would love to share coffee one day, talk more about this. Very fun. But I must move on with my life and spread love and wisdom elsewhere. Loving spirit. Shoot me an email if you want. Or subscribe to my mailing list on my website. You're like the only person on these YouTube lives that's not complete idiot. Congratulations. You're very welcome, ma'am. Hopefully, you making these simps pay you. If they loved you so much, they'll pay your bills. They don't. They don't. The person that loved me the most even preferred to go and watch some stupid movie instead of watching my highly educational video. That's the worth of their love. I don't know how you pop up in my algorithm, but you have good energy. Thank you. Stick around. I stream almost 5 times a day. 5 times a week, sorry, what am I saying? She agreed with me. Yo, this is giving me a break from writing. Nice. Kiva, yeah, today I was actually kind of planning to do just freestyle, but I wanted to give you practice. I was very happy when you joined and actually did it. I accomplished something in terms of our work, in terms of our actual flow that we've suddenly established, which is beautiful. You can't fall along love right off bat. You got to know her first. Exactly, James. Well, I get to go. God bless you in the chat. When I was in school, all I did was research and write for years, history degrees anyway. Now I'm still a bit tired of writing. I feel your pain. So much paper was covered in ink throughout this education. Do you also have deformation here on your finger? That's literally where the pen rested for long 20 years of schooling. And my bone actually shifted. Do you speak Russian, Kiva? Anger, short, patience. Okay, James, how do you usually work with it, with this anger? When did it start? What was the event that started that? And whether you give this anger to the recipient, to the trigger, or do you swallow that anger? Do you consume that anger and hold on to it? Writing is a skill like any other. You can take writing class or partner with a ghostwriter. I don't want to do a ghostwriter. I mean, I like writing in general, but it's again with my schedule, it's not really feasible to just sit and give in to it. And I don't want, there are books that are like you read them in 3 hours. Some like easy read. I want to do something more rigorous. I have written a somewhat kind of scientific-ish work on ex-veganism. When I did the study on nutrition, I found a lot of literature, and it was quite the work. It was several months of literature. It was several months of analysis of things, and I'm probably right now only coming back from that amount of work, because that work kind of went. I mean, people who needed to find it found it. I became pretty popular on Reddit with that work, but it went all into videos. I never published the actual text for it. It became my video scripts. But that was that rigorous work that kind of drained me a little bit, because it was quite a bit of work with pretty little reward. But it was a very nice closure, and it was something fundamental that I wanted to do. To close out my experiences and to help other people who are in this situation, because there were no resources that were as comprehensive as my work. I know. Okay, will you marry me? No. If you ask 5 more times, my answer will still be no. James, it was with everyone. Kids would beat me down. Then my dad being out of my life, we would walk in out. With everyone. Okay, so in how you want it to be, how you envision it to be. I held in everything through the years. I bursted from all bit down anger on my dad walking out since childhood on. It's actually a really functional thing. If you can functionally express the aggression, if you can go into some like safe space, if you can organize yourself that controllable environment in which you know that nobody hears you, nobody sees you, you can play in your head any movie, any cartoon of revenge, of getting all of the scenes that bugged you so much, that hurt you the most. You can go in those scenes and rescue yourself from that scene. Now that you are an adult, now that you actually claim this aggression, you feel aggression, in those cartoons in your mind, you can express it and you can use it through your body. You can organize for yourself several sessions until it's no longer boring. Your goal is to perform it until it becomes boring for you to perform, until those scenes are boring and not interesting, you don't want to go into them again. And you just play with this aggression. You can do something choreographed. Close yourself in the room, choreograph it, express it all. Close your eyes, envision all of that. Beat the pillow, like beat it, beat it, beat it. You can do so many things just to get it out of your body, get it out of your like psychophysical space. Bring yourself to that boiling point, express it in safe environment. You can also, how we train it, right, in Tantra, you can use it, for example, when this feeling comes, put it into useful action. Because I imagine that you have something that you may want to create in life. You perhaps have some vision for how your life should be. Perhaps you have some project that like tickles you, something that makes you very curious, makes you very engaged inside. Maybe you look at somebody's experience and you want the same. You want kind of to experience that thing. Bring your aggression and start directing it towards an action, towards that vision that you want to enact, that you want to bring to fruition. And that will kind of help you to move away from the dysfunction of this emotion. Because anger and aggression, they're far more useful, far more functional and cool to work with than, for example, the feeling of being oppressed. The fact that you already claimed your aggression means that you're already on the good track. You just need to find tools to functionalize this aggression. First, of course, the excess should be enacted, like in your fantasy, through some body practice. Release it from your body. Shake it off. Tense your entire body and let it like get out of you. Shake it, dance it. Beat the pillow, scream it, get it through your voice. Get it through this tension. Shake your legs, shake your arms, everything. Head bang. You can even go to some rock concert and do it there. To music, when it's like even brought to more intensity. And then when you lower the heat, the residual aggression, your tendencies for being aggressive, can be used very efficiently. I know a decent amount of language because of environment, but my speaking is basic, nature's alphabet. Nice, Kiva. We can chat in Russian sometime if you want. I really do like you, honey. Love you, Nicholas. Words. I made it to page 10 of notes. Awesome. Cool. What are some topics you go over? I go over topics. Typically what we bring up is relationships. Sometimes it is mental traps that people sit in and they cannot solve some situations. Sometimes it's this frustration, like right now with James, we went through the topic of his aggression, how to use aggression. I also teach people some tantric practices. So with a couple of guys here, we actually do practices. So it's more of a workshop for them, which is from time to so yesterday we literally had a party of just 3 people and we were performing practices. So today I gave them a follow-up practice and we're just going through the chat right now. But if you have any issue, any life situation that you are interested in, and I'm a Tantra coach, Tantra therapist, whatever you think would be applicable, you can ask and we can do it. Or if there's something prominent that bothers you, even if there is anything that you pick out from the environment, from the media, we can also discuss that. I will be very happy to share my outlook on that. I healed in everything through years, and I bursted from all that down anger on my dad. Walking out's okay. I do have a bit of permanent finger then, but it seems to have calmed down in the 15 plus years since I've been done with school. So there's hope. Yeah, I think I at least don't have. I kind of still have a callus there, even though I don't write as much. I mean, I write my notes, but it's not like 8 hours a day. Do you think me I am cute, honey? I don't know, Nicholas. You're saying cute things, so surely in your self-expression you're quite cute. Oh, that's neat, Kiva. I thought you might using Translate app. Now trying to think which environment exposed you. I guess Asia or East Europe. It's a scarf or something, not a tie. It's it's just the neck scarf, I guess. Anger is excessive energy for some. You should channel it into something you enjoy productive. My personal recommendation, James, is weightlifting or running. Weightlifting, you see, can be tricky for people with strong anger because it may turn into self-destruction. Because weightlifting is not in my opinion, is not one size fits all thing. People may approach it, especially through anger. It can become damaging because weightlifting must be approached very gradually with love to the body to not overproduce this cortisol because it can actually spike more cortisol. Some people say that, yeah, it's adaptation to stress, but if person's already in stress, yes, to have some physical work, venting it out may be useful. But again, you see with James, the risk may be that it will start being damaging practice when it's like excessive. You know how when you are very on adrenaline, you can, for example, push heavier weights, but some parts of your body may not be ready for that. That's why I would be exercising caution with that. And that's why some practices that are actually getting it out of the body fully. That's what the practices that I was recommending were about. To shake it off, to do this just tension, natural tension without application of any weights. Because you see, person can go to BDSM salon as well. They can go to BDSM salon and try to channel this aggression and anger through some practices like that as well. But there will be a screen between their awareness and what they're doing. The screen being that trauma, that excessive anger. That's the risk. So that would be my comment. Billy Bell. Running also with caution. So, okay, ma'am, James. Otherwise, the advice is totally legit to channel it elsewhere. Do you have a LinkedIn profile? What is Tantra Coach? LinkedIn profile I have from the past. I don't know who uses LinkedIn. I still get email notifications that some people are looking up my account, but I don't know. LinkedIn is kind of cheesy platform in my perspective. I don't know. Maybe it's something that I should dig in more. What is Tantra Coach? Tantra Coach is the person. I have video 13 steps of Tantra. If you want to actually in depth understand what Tantric protocol, what Tantric work encompasses, then just watch that video. Because in that video, I describe the sequence of work and logic behind every step of work. It's a very like calm paced video with 13 steps outlined, with all the discussion, with all the rationale behind everything. I omitted some of the things that are done in the personal work specifically, but general steps are all there. This is a lot to write down, but I don't mind. Thank you. DNA mindset matters. Tantra defined as passionate action. 11 in 44 likes. Loves the numerology. James, have you ever practiced any martial arts? Traditional martial arts especially seem exceptionally good at helping a person reframe the way they see anger and aggression. Sorry for late comments, lovely people. I'm writing and thank you, madam. Thank you. Hi, happy Friday. Much love, everyone. I noticed that too. DNA mindset matters. Oh, so cool. Hi, nature. Subscribe. Thank you, DNA. Happy Friday. It's a happy Friday, which makes it a yay day. My biggest weakness is self-motivation. I sometimes fall into doom, scrolling, or procrastination instead of focusing on meaningful work. And I'd appreciate any advice on how to break that pattern. With pleasure. It's actually one of the targets of tantric work. It's one of the rather common issues. And that particular issue may be solved initially from understanding in general, is there anything that causes you to have background anxiety? That's something that we do in the background. But there are actually practices that allow deep brain rest that will help you to create a proper hygiene for your mental work. Because your brain constantly, you see, scrolling, doom scrolling, and procrastinating, they put a huge burden on the brain. They're actually stressful activities. What happens when we're doom scrolling, it's like watching black and orange website, but for creativity, effectively. It's the same as procrastination, but you're shown that somebody is doing something, and you're watching how somebody is doing that. So you are subliminally absorbing the fact very vividly that you're not doing something. You're stimulated creatively, kind of, but you're not doing it. So they're on the same plane of thought. So doom scrolling and procrastination, they are resolved by employing different habits for brain resting. And there is a wonderful practice that's called focus and defocus. Defocused state is practiced through pretty simple tools that, however, may not come to you right away when you first try them. But that skill will allow you to take meaningful pauses and actually train your brain to rest amidst analyzing large amounts of information or sorting through the data. Because our brain sorts through the data, creates this well-arranged library of information that we consume on a daily basis. Our brain does it not only when we sleep, it also happens during the day. And during the day in nature, for example, you would notice that you would sit, there's a river flowing. You would start contemplating that river, and you would notice this altered state of mind. This altered state of mind from just passive contemplation, when you're kind of beyond the scene, you kind of dissociate for that moment. This is the example of that state. So there is a practice that allows you to enter that state on demand. The practice is a meditation, it's visualization based, and the brain literally picks it up with so much delight. And when I practiced it first, I noticed that my attitude in how I process information, for example, during conflict, during some analysis, like big volume analysis, I started taking those breaks. For just several seconds, in the middle of processing, I would go somewhere, my brain would pacify, and I'm able to go more. Very interesting phenomenon. Another facet of this issue, besides just providing your brain the tools to rest instead of simulating rest, because when we're procrastinating, we're stressed. It's anxiety. It's FOMO. Besides, like instead of doing the illusion of rest, you're going to look into what are you procrastinating? What are the barriers on the way of what you want to actually do? You worded it as meaningful work. What is that meaningful work, and why you need to, like you walk, and then boom, barrier. You stumble upon this barrier. What is that barrier on the way to this meaningful work? What does it constitute, this barrier? What is that? So we need to look into that. Then also, when we discover what this barrier constitutes, we also will be, as a part of this work, we're going to see so much. You may reveal so many interesting things about yourself, that I cannot tell you more about this issue, any more analytics, unless you give me some reflection, some self-reflection on what this barrier on the way to meaningful work constitutes for you. If you were to visualize it, what is it? I understand your views on lifting weight, and you're correct. It can be damaging to those without mentor. I work in the trade, so I too help young men with advice and struggles in life. Cool. I find with you men martial arts and weightlifting help these troubled young quite a bit. But a mentor in good environment is essential. Yeah, it helps too, because you can get into David Goggins mode. David Goggins is the icon. It's just the icon of trauma turned into physical self-exertion. So David Goggins mode, yeah, is something that can happen if a person doesn't face the deep motives behind what they're doing. So I agree with you on mentorship, for sure. Because if David Goggins went through some form of balancing, perhaps he wouldn't make so much money through what he's doing, but he wouldn't carry this mask. Whenever you look at him online, it's this. You see David Goggins. If you break yourself, nobody can break you. All of that. That's nuts. Bill, absolutely. Martial arts can only be learned properly in person. I can only assume that weightlifting is largely the same. Oh yeah, by the way, yeah, weightlifting, yeah. Especially if you start progressing towards higher weights. That's, yeah, probably would require a lot of some guidance. I'm on day 28 with no alcohol or cigarettes. I'm about to explode from cravings. Ben, what did you substitute, alcohol or cigarettes? Let's also reframe it that you are right now building a new path, okay? Because when you have some function, I love to give this analogy. You have an old, beaten up car that breaks every 20 miles and you have to maintain it all the time. But that's the only vehicle you can get to work with. There's no bus, there's no alternative vehicle. This vehicle is essential for you to get to work. If you don't have an alternative vehicle, throwing away that old vehicle will be dysfunctional. It will be incapacitating you to work, to perform some vital functions. So you have to hold on to that bad vehicle until you build some alternative path. Okay? So if you just throw away that vehicle without having an alternative, what happens? You have a function that needs to be fulfilled, but no tools that will fulfill it. So we need to understand what this function is in order to find the method of fulfilling it with some other tools that are more in harmony. Let's word it in this way, Ben, follow along. New tools that are promoting your health, that are building the persona you want to embody, that are pleasant, that are pampering, that are comforting, that are sustainable, that are leading to a beautiful life, that give you both instant and delayed gratification, that give you joy, that appeal you, that are part of this beautiful vision that you have for yourself. So what can be those tools? And what is the function that they need to perform? Let's think about that, Ben. Kiva? Absolutely, with the right guidance, it can relieve much pain. Also with kicking addiction, Ben. Thank you. I need to do some soul researching. What's the barrier? I don't know. I would say just simple laziness, but I feel it's more than that. What, imagine, we can do this journeying right now. If you are ready, Web Matrix, if you are in the proper mental space right now, we can do this journeying right now. If you envision that work in your mind right now, you're in your mind. If you can close your eyes, envision some space. It can be a field, it can be forest, room, whatever comes first. Some space, some physical space. And you can envision, you can actually visualize in what image your meaningful work comes there. What in general is what you want in life? Can it originate there? You can fill this space with all of this imagery and see how they fall, how your psyche arranges them in your psychophysical space, how they are arranged, how they're relative to each other. And then, if we were to perform this journey, if we were to get into actual meditation together, I would be guiding you out to find the solution, because it's metaphysical space, it's all your mind. There's nothing, no physical barriers, no inertia of material world. It's all your thoughts, it's all your perceptions. We would be finding some solution in your psyche that allows you to live without that barrier. So what is that part of your psyche that lives without barrier? And we would create the tool for you to work in the real life, in which you can just grab it and carry it in real life. Next time you have a barrier, you can connect with that part of your psyche and act from that part of the psyche. So that's how it works. Because the issue is in your psyche. Hence, the solution is also in your psyche. Granted that also you're not fully like beat up with like fully being, it's not like debilitating laziness. You still have some energy left, So which also tells me that it's not the issue of not actually having energy, being actually physically, let's say anemia, right? Anemia can do this. Anemia can give you the feeling of lack of energy. I don't think that it's that deep. Perhaps can be a contributing factor. But you appear from how you write, you appear as you're a generally energetic person. So to me, it just seems like the energy is blocked somewhere by some constructs, by some functions inside, which means that it can be worked on. That's my logic. I think you're so fascinating. You have a PhD. That's even more impressive. Thanks for sharing your light. Thank you, Enrique. Thank you so much for your heart. All right, Ben. Okay, Ben, let's think further if you're still around. Are you still around, Ben? Are you? Ben? Okay, probably Ben is not around. Ah, here. Okay, good. So you're here, Ben. Good. So what we're discussing is, what is the function, if you can think about it right now, what is the function that now requires to be satisfied? How can you describe the void? Like, what is that? He's here. Thank you. Thank you for doubling down. Yeah, I actually sometimes the chat doesn't display, but today I removed all moderation, so messages are probably more streamlined. And I would suggest boredom and anxiety. Okay, no. Boredom and anxiety. Boredom is boredom in a way that you probably have a job in it. You probably go to work, but work is probably not satisfying enough. So there is some potential that you carry. Anxiety is also, even though it's a draining thing, but anxiety is actually energetic thing in a sense. It can be the excessive energy, it can be the excessive time, and I will tell you this interesting thing. I worked with someone who followed a very healthy diet once. But their environment was not conducive of that person actually embracing their talents. They somehow did not build a framework in which they could realize their talents, share their knowledge efficiently, influence the world at a scale at which their psyche demanded that. Imagine, you can become a super powerful creature, super energetic creature, super mighty, so much to give to the world. But you live in the middle of nowhere. Your environment just looks at you like, and you feel no feedback for doing what you want to be doing. But at the same time, you're kind of scared to take responsibility for just legalizing this attitude for yourself. You don't feel like you are entitled to the right to craft your life in a shape that corresponds to your genetic makeup, that corresponds to your talents. You kind of are shy to claim them. What in this case person starts doing? The person started kind of low-key muting themselves. They went on a bad diet. They came to this super destructive lifestyle that left them with zero energy, zero muscle, zero vitality, zero anything. Very handsome, very mighty, very energetic men with huge potential, huge ambition, because they did not claim their path, they did not make the conditions for their potential to bloom, flipped to destroying themselves. Because why? Why keep all of this energy up? Why keep yourself in a supreme shape when it's worthless? Your environment doesn't give you any positive feedback for that. And I made this video about how creativity, connection with creation, actually can shape your lifestyle habits, not vice versa. Because when you step into this archetype of yours, when you step on your path, this is when everything starts making sense. It's no longer a question for you whether you want to eat healthy. You regard yourself and you feel yourself so on top of your life, you feel responsibility. In some teachings, it's described as being the hand of a god. It's a very beautiful metaphor. You become the active hand of the god. This is how it feels. You feel like you are given, nature gave you these things, and nature gave you basically everything that comes in nature world. Everything has function. It grows in the exact spot where it needs to grow. You, with all of your attributes, are exactly what you need. And you need to claim it. And this is where you connect with your creatorship, when you take responsibility for that. Because if you put the barrier, if you choose to live some, life as if somebody told you, you will always feel like you're in self-betrayal. Which means that a huge part of you will be blocked. And you will not have any, while you are living in accordance to somebody else's, when you're somebody else's project. When you're not responsible for yourself, when you're split like this, why care for that? Imagine you live somewhere, you rent an apartment. You know that you're going to rent it for 1 week. And they have a garden that's very dry. Why would you go plant flowers there? You're not going to plant flowers there because you know that you will abandon that place. But when you claim it, when you take responsibility for it, you're going to beautify it. You're going to create the environment because you're responsible for that environment. And so when you step into the life that you want, when you find the application, and you will easily find this application, when you find the application of your energy, which is through creativity, which is through influencing the world, which is through giving. You cannot just receive and sit. It's called mental constipation, creative constipation. When you start giving and you take responsibility without asking anyone for permission, it's just a given. Just genetics, nature gave it to you. Your talents, your abilities, your desires. You claim it and you go for it. And this is when I'm repeating that it's no longer a question whether you will be making best choices for yourself. It comes naturally then. And your energy that goes to anxiety, that goes to boredom, all of that energy will be used. And you will enter the synergistic path in which everything will just align. Because right now you're living in some full split. just peeking at something that you want, perhaps getting triggered by something that you want but you don't have. Living mediocre life because you're in somebody else's shell of yours, which is not you. So that's what may be happening. Let's see the chat. Exactly. I'm still with you, but just listening and thinking. Drinking the last of my tea before it gets too late. It's bancha, wow. Japanese green tea with relatively low caffeine. I should write it down, bancha. Where's my pen? I don't have a pen. Okay. I do have a pen. I like sencha tea a lot. But I wasn't able to find it in the supermarket, and anytime I go to on Amazon or any other shops, I always forget to order it. Russian accent is the best. That's kind of how I feel. That's my effort. That my effort is pointless. I don't see much reward. Doing bare minimum gets the bills paid, and I feel it's enough. I'm getting a good amount of notes from all of this. Thank you, lovely people, and madam. Thank you. So find your thing and know it. Kind of, yes. Because giving in general, leadership, how I reward leadership, creatorship, is through giving. If you receive energy, you go on social media, you receive somebody's energy. You meet an interesting person, you receive their energy. Where does it go? If it sits here and you don't turn it into action, there's no way around it. It will be anxiety. Electrical impulses, your brain is geared. I can be sure that your brain is geared towards having certain level of activity. If you don't fulfill it through creation, through creativity, then it's going to become destructive. Just as if you overeat and you don't move like against your senses. For example, you want to move, you want to be active. But if you force yourself to not move physically, what will happen? The body will start going nuts. Same with intellectual activity, same with outreach, same like with giving to people, giving to the world. The world gives to you, you receive, you process, and you give. And you can, guys, practice that if you don't have any creative outlet, if you don't have any outlet where you can exercise, just sharing your thoughts, sharing your ideas, creating something by hand. I don't know, even like if it's appropriate, I don't know, baking cookies, bringing them to work type of thing, just to share something, conduct something through you, to give, to spread. These can be little tools that will help you to get started, get into this flavor of giving to the world, giving. Because also the deep-rooted self-esteem, this adult creator like self-esteem, it's built by you standing on, if we imagine as a metaphor, as illustration, standing on the shoulders of those who you're giving to. You're giving it to others, it spreads. You're giving, it spreads, and you're building bigger and bigger, more and more grounded self-esteem. My idea in general of whole human renaissance is to become a perfect conductor. Imagine in physical terms, in electrical terms, or in fiber optics terms. You conduct perfectly. You don't have defects inside that become scattering sites, dissipation sites, lost sites. You conduct perfectly. You're tuned in to certain conductivity, and you conduct. And the better of a conductor you are, the more energy you can conduct with less losses. But if there is trauma in the conductor, imagine there's trauma, will be consuming this energy, dissipating it, heating up, further damaging the conductor. Some like lack of skill somewhere. Energy comes, dissipates to the heat, starts damaging further, creates more problems in the conductor. All of these things, they prevent you from being a good conductor. Thoughts. For example, you want to do something. A good practice would be 10 squats, the simplest thing. You want to be more active. You want to do 10 squats. Let's overthink 10 squats. Let's imagine, before we do 10 squats, how difficult it's going to be. That you need to find time to do 10 squats. What you're going to do after 10 squats. Maybe you need some spandex tights before you do 10 squats. Maybe you need to order some appliances from Amazon to do 10 squats. While you're organizing, while you're overthinking this in your head, you generated this tall barrier to freaking do 10 squats. And this overthinking is often this mechanism, weird mechanism that sublimates. It's also like orange and black website. Thinking about it, watching it, not doing it. The energy did not flow. There's no exchange. But it's generated, dissipated, where it went, to anxiety. Sencha is tasty. Banchi is made from leaves that grow farther from the shoot. It's a lower grade but less caffeine, so that's a plus for some. You may also be interested in hojicha. It's a heavily roasted tea, and that roasting removes most of the caffeine. It's good for nighttime. Thank you. Where are you from? Beautiful. I'm, let's say Russian. Just not to go into details. You like a guru. Shuriken, I'm going to take note of what you said about roasted tea. Sounds interesting. Multidisciplinary studies today. And for example, overthinking, some like barriers. Cigarette. Anxiety that's unbearable. If you don't know that there is a possible outlet for that, if you don't know how to apply that, well, that creates the need for opting for some numbing agent. Alcohol is a depressant. Basically, what you're trying to do is to induce the depression, which depression is from suppression of your creative force. As I said, it's a mental or creative constipation. When you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, but doing something else instead, it drains you, it comes through a lot of resistance. So alcohol, read it as a depressant, primarily. You're telling, okay, this energy, this vital energy that can go somewhere, I'll just specify it. Bring this energy, for example, to recovery after intoxication with alcohol. That's how you put it in the body to manage also. Thank you for making your website easy to sign up. Just one more thing before I go again. Look lovely enough for the Paris runway. The outfit is very classy. Thanks so much. I actually drink a lot of tea, so it caught my attention. Nice. I started drinking more herbal teas because actually I was buying gunpowder, I think, tea. Or, I don't remember. Oh, not too long. And it was too much caffeine for me. I noticed that I get like pump from it. Cannabis, no, I don't know. It's something that's very foreign to me. I'm very not. I'm against that. I'm against that. I don't care about legalization, non-legalizations, but I'm against that. I functionally don't drink. On average, I probably have 1 beer per month, and it's always a really good beer. But yeah, when it's a problem, when even, it's even a problem, and I noticed that. When it's once a week, when there is a schedule around alcohol, for example, that there's an expectation that there will be alcohol. So it starts building this reward system. That's when it becomes an issue. But I kind of, don't want to drag on this topic because we have Ben. Do we still have Ben? Because I want to drive mind away from this. I want to drive it towards something different. Let me actually take But by the way, speaking of teas, Ben, you can use if you're attached to ritualism of certain habits. I would encourage you to actually consider tea ceremonies. Tea ceremony, you can get like yourself some tea ceremony stuff and start performing them because it's also associated with consumption, with ritual, and you can start balancing that. You can kind of like get yourself through the adjustment period while having some routine. That there is a beverage, that there is because alcohol a lot of times also associated with ritualism. Teas uh, can be as ritualistic, and they actually are healthy beverage, enjoyable. Agreed, I have no schedule for beer intake. I just never end up wanting more than maybe an average of a dozen per year. Tea over coffee. And in general, Ben, with that also, we talked about all of those things where you need to find something to locate your energy to because you have potential that you're trying to depress, to not feel it. Find some outlet for giving. Find some outlet for your physical energy because what happens also, you were putting some depressants in your body. Your body learned to regulate its energy surplus through recovery to remove the toxins that you were putting in it. Now you have surplus energy. What do you do with surplus energy? Must be some routine, some physical routine to get physical energy out. And then also some other ritual, some other schedule. Being on a regimented life with rituals, with pleasure rituals, with mindfulness exercises, with investigating what your makeup is designed for. The combination of those things might be very, very handy for you. Yes, Gunfu style tea is very ritualistic and is my preferred brewing method. So much so that I gave up that method for Lent. I'm brewing it in thermos now. Wow. I should write it down. Gunfu. Any more questions? Any more comments? You are a guru. I don't know. I don't necessarily want to put this label on myself. I don't know how, if it sits with me, really. It's a guruism. I don't know. No, it doesn't sit with me. I've been replacing alcohol with soda. I think the caffeine, lack of exercise, definitely the main culprit. Yeah, caffeine, now you started pushing yourself even more stimulated thing. Lack of exercise. Which exercise? Let's think about some pleasant routines that's not particularly commitment oriented. Ben, let's think about what type of activity. For example, jumping jacks in the morning. Some like sporadic exercise whenever you feel that your energy is going up would be very nice. Energy being like feeling electrified in the body, you know, this anxious feeling. In those moments, can we incorporate some exercise that is not particularly of a commitment? When you go, like you put backpack, spandex, and you go somewhere to perform this exercise. Let's do some routine that is easy, that's not draining, something that just to keep your energy circulating well. I have a bunch of pictures of Gongfu style tea brewing up, if you're interested, yes. I went from 10 to 15 full pages front and back of notes. That's crazy cool. Ben, any ideas? Soda, swap it for tea. Teas actually will give you such a breadth of experiences. You can probably order some samples of very good tea where you can try them all in some small amounts such that you don't like get into sugar habits. because soda is its own fruit, you know? And gearing towards self-care, finding why, care for yourself. This almost feels like I'm writing a book. Amazing. I'll make a comment on one of your shorts so you can find it easily if you like. Yeah, thank you. So Ben, we're brainstorming some pleasant, low commitment exercise, something active, fun that makes you feel good. We're looking at what to replace soda. What beverages could be healthier in your opinion, what you would find interesting. And also what you would be interested in doing. Something with outreach, something with giving, something where you can just give in to some creative flow. Soda I'm not a fan of, but it does look refreshing. Yeah, but there are those bubbly drinks like, oh my god, there was coconut kefir I was drinking when I was raw vegan. So good. I quit drinking and started using cannabis since it's legal in my state, but I'm beginning to realize that it's become another barrier I might need to overcome as well. Likely yes. I don't want to, again, drag this topic because it's kind of something that I'm somewhat passionate about deep inside, but to the extent that I don't want to talk about it. I would agree with you that it probably is a good idea. And it was Web Matrix, it was you with that we were giving the metaphor of the barrier. Yeah. So cannabis probably does the following. It makes you not care about the barrier. Perhaps makes you, as I'm hypothesizing, I don't know if it's true. There is some barrier that we discussed, that we introduced, and that barriers probably just becomes irrelevant. And that's when I was inviting you to go journey through the psyche. There is a part of you for whom this barrier doesn't exist or is irrelevant, who cares not. So there's, imagine there will be in your psychophysical space, when you're going through it, there will be this scene that you will generate with the barrier, right? There's some barriers, some situations, but then this vision, as I'm also right now hypothesizing, this vision would be just a very small fraction of what actually exists in your psyche. Because most people, they develop some narrow domain, like some dark tunnel, like I give this analogy of dark tunnel, in which they feel stuck, lost, incapable of doing things, not knowing who they are, not being able to enjoy life effortlessly. So there's this narrow tunnel. And when you start journeying through psyche, you will likely find the way to zoom out and see that the landscape of your capabilities is actually much broader. The landscape of your characteristics, your skills, your abilities, your vision is much broader than you are right now, than you exercise by this point. You're exercising this thing to the extent that you forgot what exists outside of this tunnel, outside of this domain. And this is where this barrier will be there, small, not existent. But the path that you want to take, with a psychological adaptation that's for that path, will be elsewhere. You can walk it. The barrier doesn't exist there. Just because you looked at the entire landscape of your psyche. That's another analogy. For example, a person would be picking wrong partners. They'd be like, everybody I meet are wrong partners, wrong partners, wrong partners. And I was showing this demonstration in a room, actually. I was showing it to people in a physical room, in a physical space. I'm like, this is where There are those bad partners. But you have 360 view around you in all directions where there are different partners. You just never looked there because you conditioned to look here. You built adaptation, you reinforced adaptation to look specifically in this dark tunnel. So, in this dark tunnel, you will not be able to find, per se, the traits, the features that will allow you to not have the barrier. Because in this dark tunnel, you built adaptations to live in dark tunnel. If that makes sense. Let me know if that resonates with you. Tim. Yes, makes me numb to everything. Tim, depressed and lonely. And everybody celebrates Tim. Hello, Tim. Yes, Keith, I'm back and depressed. Yeah, anything that numbs a person down will ultimately contribute to an additional issue. Processing things is essential, perhaps not unlike inhaling negativity rather than swallowing it. Yes. Tim, we're here for you, my friend. Hey, Tim. Hi, Zone. Okay, Kiva. Tim, very nice. You stick around. You are bathing in our field every day, which is so cool. Mindheart, I also thought with 20 I know everything. Sending positive energy your way, Tim. Kiva, I stopped drinking soda around the time I started drinking tea, roughly 25 years ago. I don't miss it. Makes sense, thank you. You're welcome. Okay, Kiva. Yeah, so web matrix, if you have a moment, try going on this journey. That's meditation in which you literally, but make sure that 3 days prior you don't do any substances. I want you to be 3 days fully off substances, and then you go into this process. Or you can also work with me. Human Renaissance on my website, if you wish. First session is 50% off with the code first RFL. Okay, I see Shuriken. I only don't like soda because it gives me headache if I drink too much of it. Sending positive energy your way to Tim. I don't think my life is a big disappointment, says Tim. Tim, when you say these things, how do they make you feel? Do you feel relieved when you're saying that? Or do you feel like it's just reinforcing what you're feeling? Share, please. Neither it makes me more depressed. Neither it makes me more depressed. When you are saying this, what do you feel? Let's refresh on that. What do you feel when you are saying this? I don't know if I didn't receive one of the messages because I only see neither it makes me more depressed. I don't know if you responded something. When you say my life is a big disappointment, like what is that? And also, where are you? If you were to like feel yourself in space and time, where are you when you're saying that your life is a big disappointment? Who's saying that? Whose voice is that? Whose opinion is that? I feel sadness and my joy is no longer. Okay. I want to, Tim, I want to reflect on whose opinion is that? Like if all people influence that, who will look at that? Who will look at your life and agree with that? Like out of all influences that you've received. What is that? What part of you says that? What part of you wants confirmation of that? Are you feeling it from within yourself? Are you feeling it by looking at yourself? Let's distinguish the two as well. Like if you close your eyes, for example, and you imagine yourself standing like at some distance. If you look at yourself, look at yourself as an observer, what will you say to that? It may sound cliche, but we need to learn to forgive ourselves eventually. Coming to terms with ourselves is essential. I agree, self-forgiveness. Gotta take responsibility for your mental health. I think you're fine. Just try to stay away from it, but I can't lie like ice cream too. Yes, I can tell myself the same shuriken, but it seems like I'm lying to myself each time. So both you mean that from within, and by looking at yourself from the outside, you feel this phrase holds true, that your life is a disappointment. Who was the appointment? What was the golden standard of life? Who set the golden standard of life, and what was the expectation that you failed to deliver on? What was the expectation that is criterion of failure? In life, there is like, while you're alive, you're succeeding in system of life. This is success of life. If you're alive, this is success. System of life fulfilled it. In what system? There was some bar, some expectation that you needed to fulfill. I've been depressed since 2014. Okay, so you said that your life is a disappointment. I want to study that phrase. What was the expectation that you think you did not fulfill? In what system? Who was the author of the expectation? Why was the expectation? What was the role of the expectation? Because disappointment only exists when there is expectation. So who was expecting, and who was delivering, and who disappointed, and who is the judge? Let's find those characters in you, Tim. You can even split them into sub-personas, like ABC subcomponents. I'll rephrase. We have disappointment only when there is expectation. Who was expecting? Who was expecting what? Who was delivering? And who disappointed? And what is the criterion? In what system is there disappointment? The main thing is when my dad passed away. Your dad passed away, how does it tie with the disappointment feeling? You stated that your life is a disappointment. And that your dad passed away. How do these two statements relate to each other? Good question. I believe this will help with identifying everything that's going on. Yeah, because there's a complex of things, and I want to find the characters that experience all of this, to put it all together and find the core persona that is actually succeeding in living. There's a part that's successful at living. There's a part of successful at trying to find the answers. There are personas that are telling this persona that disappointment, difficulties. Okay, not having my dad here since my birthday is next Saturday. So do you feel it more acutely now that your birthday is coming? I'm assuming. Can we say that it's a trigger? Also would help if you told me how old you are, Tim. Tim, whenever you're ready for a conversation, you're always welcome. If you feel like you would want to leave, um, you should do it. And I'll see you in the next stream. If you feel like You don't want to communicate anymore. Hello, Chris. Thank you for a compliment. Shuriken Zone. Have a great night. Thank you so much. Chris, I will introduce myself. I'm a Tantra coach, Tantra therapist, and I conduct live streams 5 times a week where sometimes I have dedicated topics, sometimes I have workshops, and sometimes we just have free-flowing conversations. I'm answering questions, addressing things that people bring up, some issues that they want to figure out, and just discussing sometimes some social events, some social news phenomena surface as well, and we discuss them too. Provide my outlook here. So welcome, Chris, and I'll see you around. I'll be 36 next Saturday. Tim, let's be on track. I'm sorry that you encountered this. If you want, Tim, if you want a more safe space, you can come and without any external influence. You can try working with me directly. In the live stream, it is expected that people will share their opinions. There are a lot of people who say things that are not intended to be of therapeutic value. So you should be expected that this will be happening here. I'm trying to build more or less safe environment, and a lot of people actually do exercise full compassion, understanding of your thing, but sometimes people are new, they're not familiar with your situation. So that's the nature of the stream and the open space. I understand that. But that's the space, you're all equal in this chat, and I understand that, and I don't want to take part. I don't want to stick up and start defending people, denying your opportunity to solve this conflict on your own. I want to maintain your dignity in the way that I allow you to exercise your ability to dissolve the conflict directly with the person. Hope that makes sense. I need to relax. I have anxiety. Chris, if you want to kind of describe the landscape of events that you live through, would be quite helpful, because need to relax. I have anxiety. Is it reactive anxiety? Is it background anxiety? What things right now are out of order in your life as you feel them? Please share more details, and then we can discuss. When we also, by the way, Tim, when we think about the father, since we're already on this topic, the father figure in your life, what value does it hold? What your dad represents for you? When we think about your dad, what place in your life he had and still has? What is this figure? How big is it? I'll share in a while when ready, sure. You can actually, yeah, Chris, you can participate in live streams to see what it's about. When you feel comfortable, yeah, you can share. In general, right now, there is very few people present, and they are viewers of my channel who've been around for some time. And the space here is pretty comfortable right now. I don't think that many people will be joining, and I will be finishing the stream in half an hour probably. So, but it's up to you totally. I consult personally Human Renaissance on my website, rawformoflife.com. First session is use the code first RFL, and we can work personally if you want privacy, if you want full attention to your issue. And also, yeah, you can watch the live streams and recordings if you vibe with me. If you find my delivery comfortable for you, you can watch my live streams in recordings because we discuss a lot of the things, study the practices, go through different tantric techniques, and also I have good video 13 steps of Tantra that describes the general flow of tantric work if you're curious. But there will always be other comments who think otherwise. Yeah, it's gonna happen. It's an open discussion. That's the nature of it. And it's not if we created, for example, a webinar in which we have people who sign up, in which I can remove people who are misbehaving and not on topic of a webinar, when it is an assigned thing, when it is a dedicated space where everyone has their domain, in such outside of the webinar space, outside of personal consultation, yeah, I cannot be the guarantor of that. Nobody will collide in their opinions. So that's something that's up to you guys to figure out. You have a soothing voice. Thank you. It's never funny with the loss of a loved one. Yeah. Dark humor is actually psychological defense. Sometimes people joke about it because they are a little bit scared and uncomfortable to dive in this emotion. So in fact, yeah. Tim, I would say that so Tim, yeah, I wanted you to answer the question if it's possible. What does your father figure represent in your life? What is it? How big is it? What roles it plays? Like what is it in in some world of your metaphors, in your symbol system? What role does your dad play? If you were to describe it in like whatever terms come to your mind, like easily, if you want to discuss this. Yeah, I also will take a sip. It's almost like me saying something about Ben's family member. Tim, do you want to keep communication with me, or are you kind of in the other mental space right now? Because I don't want to push. Hi, Kiva. Let's discuss something. So if anyone has any questions, any quotidian things that are on your mind, guys, we can talk for the next maybe more 15 more minutes, and then I get to go. Time went by fast. Yeah, it was. It was quite a bit of activity in the beginning and the middle. Let's refresh, Kiva. I think you're the only one who's in the chat right now. So we did this practice. Try it again, perhaps after the stream. Try it in a more expansive way. Try how you can apply it to bigger areas of the body. And play around with that switching also. Another exercise that will be important to do is when you have those halves, you can practice switching, increasing the speed of switching. That would be another exercise, how we can work with this practice. So you create those halves, you work with switching, then you close it into rewriting one half with joy, then growing the joy, and then growing it. Boom. Tim, your dad is still in your mental space. The issue still exists in you. It still gives you sorrow. And this is why I gave you this answer, this question. What does your father represent for you? Okay, understand. Thank you, madam. Cool. Yeah, so we have 2 toys now. And you can also turn it again, encourage you, Kiva, to start being creative with these practices. As you learn different mechanisms, different toys, you will be able to generate your own practices and creative ways of using them. You can see how they play in real life. You can see how you can observe perhaps how your brain starts defaulting to certain functions. And that could be a very fun and creative journey for you. Okay? My sweetheart, forever love you. I need to work on the switching. Yes, if something is lagging, that's something that we need to work. But again, don't drag that. Don't overdo it. Don't be too ambitious, like achieve and overachieve. Let's not approach it this way. Let's approach them as just like 10 seconds, 30 seconds. Switch. You can also, if for example emotions are not easy for you to do, you can imagine feeling like cold or warm. One side you imagine how if a piece of ice was there, and the other side if it was like warm breeze was there. So you can alternate these if it's easier for you. I find emotions to be easier personally than to imagine senses. Good thing you told me not to overdo, because I was most likely going to. Yeah, do it for as long as it's like way before it starts causing any tension, any anxiety, because I once overdid a practice. I got so frustrated that I could not do it anymore. That's why it's important to not push your limits. It's like, imagine if you are like learning the language and you decide to squeeze thousands of flashcards of words. No, I mean, you will be just very fatigued. Those words will go nowhere, and you will build association that learning words means stress. So we need to be far from that point. We're just doing it as like easily, effortlessly. Yes, question, yes. песик мой любимый. Песик маленький. How long should this method be? Is there a good, good amount of practicing? Once a day. Once a day, do it like whatever is entertaining for you to do at that point. If today you're like more tired, for example, then you do it, just create the feeling in one side, feeling in the other side, and do for as much resources you have. You can be more relaxed. If you're more energetic in the moment, and at the same time you can go in the mental space, then you can do it a little bit more. 5 times a week is a good starting point. 5 days a week you do it, 2 days you're resting. That's the typical schedule for these practices. Now feel lonely without the other friends here. Yeah. Tim got to go. Bye. Tim, it was good to see you. I hope you will get into higher spirits. I will be streaming tomorrow, so feel free to join. Have feeling in love with you. Thank you. 5 times a week. Okay, let me write that down. Yeah, but we give ourselves breaks from all practices for 2 days. There are some practices, like for example, simple focus switching from object to object. Then you can do them like whenever you're bored. You can focus on joy whenever you're bored. But certain practices that require a little bit more involvement, when we need to do introspection, those practices, we have some regimen for them. 5 days a week, 2 days of rest, such they can digest all the insights and jump into them with newly built, very well digested attitude understanding. And we do these practices in general until while they are not boring. When you start getting bored, then we need to advance the practice. That's our threshold for like long-term progress. Tell me you love me. No, I don't know you. Jose Centeno, hi. Ты мой пес. Ты мой пес. When bored, then progress God. But yes, yeah. We do practices while they are challenging, then while they are enjoyable, and then when they start being boring, we need to tell it to me, and then we're working on advancing them. But while it's challenging, we're working on them, gradually expanding your skill, gradually pushing the comfort zone. So right now, let's focus on that. And then also, yeah, be creative. As I said, you have different degrees of freedom there. What if, instead of belly, I use my arms, my hands, my chest, my legs, my groin even, back, head, face, these things. We can do this, we can apply this method to different body parts. Then we can do top and bottom, different segments of the body. Then how we can expand them to the entire body. Then how we can do, for example, to connect with some internal organs, internal body parts. How we can put this practice inside. So you have a lot of creativity there. Whenever you start feeling like, oh, what if? Embrace that what if. Then you can do, for example, for your face, for your body in general, you can do state of beautiful. I want to feel beautiful radiance. Fill yourself with beautiful radiance. And fill your body with beautiful radiance. And that will show you where there's not so much radiance, for example, where there's nodule somewhere, some tension that prevents that radiance. So you can experiment with these ideas too. How you perceive beauty radiance. I want to feel sexy and beautiful, Ben. Yes, you can totally do it. Were you there when I was describing the practice that Kiva and I are discussing? We did practice earlier today. I don't know if when you joined. Then you can feel, Kiva, you can also fill yourself with a sense of love, as I described, right? So you have different feelings. You can draw a table, even, what you can do. Draw a table. Here you have feelings that you want to experiment with. Here you can do body parts and switch them. How you can play with them. You can build whole matrix of different actions that you can exercise. Then you can do being peaceful, for example. Instead of dichotomy of sadness and joy, you can exercise the dichotomy, for example, of relaxed and toned, uplifted. That's another thing that's a very important thing for you to try mastering, I think. When one part is energetic, like ready to execute something, ready to do something, the other part is very restful. Imagine laying on the beach. You're on the warm beach, fully relaxed, fully tranquil. So one half of whatever couples you are using in the body, one half is very toned, ready to go. High energy, high active energy, ready to sprint, ready to take an action. The other half is very relaxed. Okay? Fixed that. That's just a very practical thing to do. That's why I'm emphasizing it. Because that's how you can start tapping into the stored energy, the energy that is not apparently accessible, perhaps, right now, not apparently perceived. Can I just sit this up? So we have half of high energy, half with relaxed energy. And how is it useful? Let's think about it. In a daily life, you oftentimes are either hyperstimulated, need more relaxation, or you are too relaxed, you need to be toned. You need to have energy, find energy for an action. So this is how you can learn this switch too. My personal method to doing that, after having practiced that, I can go from, for example, I'm just chilling, but I need to do something and I feel kind of lazy-ish. I just do 3, 2, 1, go. 3, 2, 1, energy. And I connect with that side. Right? From 0 to 100 without any barriers. So that's what this practice will enable you to do. When seemingly you're like, demotivated or something, but you still have energy stores, this practice will teach you to just go right in there. And Ben, you weren't here. Are you still here, Ben? You can shoot me an email. I'll give you actually, I can make a post somewhere. I will share with you if you want. Yeah, you're here. Do you want me to describe it here, or do you want me to? Do you prefer written form? Or you can. Why am I'm saying something nonsensical? You can perhaps still send me an email. I'll give you timestamp for this video where the practice was described. Okay? You registered on my website. Excellent. So I will find you, and I will send you the timestamp for this practice. Kiva will be motivated. Yes, amazing. You will be motivated, you have pure energy. Just remember how we discussed that there is a barrier between you and the action. Barrier is not needed when you know how to access energy. Just go. Then, what's in our table right now, Kiva? We have emotional dichotomy, switching. We have energy dichotomy. And then we have this overwhelming feeling of beauty. Beauty, you can just use that thing, you can just flash, for example, when it will be different facet of this practice when you're just connecting with different body parts. When you go, for example, shining beauty from here, shining beauty from here, shining beauty from my arms, from my chest, everywhere. And that will prepare us for the practice full body breathing. That I won't be, I might give it to you. No, I probably will just post on my website because it's so long. 20 minutes, it's not a good format for live stream. Full body breathing will do either in a closed form on some workshop through my website in privacy, or I will just post the guided thing. I'll post the guided thing on my website. So we'll stay in touch with that. Thank you, Kiva, as well, for very active feedback and for being so receptive. I really appreciate it. Hope you're enjoying what we're learning here. I think this will help the switching problem. Yes, it surely will. Switching problem, yeah, full body breathing. When you tap into the switching thing, full body breathing is the practice that requires that skill. And that's a super cool practice, super deep practice. That is so amazing. It's like, I don't know what to compare it with. It's like mental massage almost, in its effect. So it's a very beautiful thing. But it requires you to be able to switch effortlessly, without any barriers. So this practice will give you the flavor for that, such that when you encounter a bigger practice, more extensive practice, you don't feel any like expectations or burden on yourself. You can just enjoy. No need to thank, madam. I should be thanking you instead. I really appreciate it. The amazing thing is that we're so early in our path right now. It's so amazing to think about. I love it. But I think eventually we will need to start doing the private sessions on Zoom. Not private, but I mean gather some like group of people who will register, such that we have this dedicated space where we can only focus on practices without the chat. So we'll be going in this hybrid mode eventually, I think, Eva, if that sounds good for you. Because one person asked me if I want to do the private, like more or less narrow circle Zoom. And yes, so we can try that. And then we can practice, we can ask questions about the practices, and we'll be very efficiently learning. Maybe once a week or bi-weekly we can do those things. And so many creative thoughts right now, because there's so many ways we can work on. Because now that I have some core people who are actually in the process, I can start working on some materials, and that's very inspirational for me. Posting some videos on my website, some audio guidelines, some like emails, some whatever. And gathering you all like once a week for workshops and stuff. Will be super cool. Kiva, thanks a lot. Ben, if you're still here, I will see you soon. Expect an email from me. I'll put a note to email you. And take advantage of this live stream. And previous live stream, Ben, actually would be very good for you to follow. The very previous one, that's where we did the introduction to the practice that we studied today. So Ben, take advantage of that, and I will email you. And Kiva and Ben, whoever is now in the chat, I'll see you tomorrow, probably at 4 or 5 p.m. New York time. Again here. And then we'll take a break for a couple of days. Sunday, Monday, I am not streaming. Okay, madam, take care. All the best. Thank you for the notes. Thank you, Kiva, too. Enjoy your practices. Enjoy creativity, creative process, and whatever revelations you will make about yourself, about your connection with the body. Enjoy, please enjoy, and have a great rest of your night. Thank you, everyone, and bye-bye.